Those of you obviously heard what I said this morning. They call me the toe cracker, and back in about 2000, after spending 15 years as a commercial banker and then 6 years as a commercial finance broker working for myself, I found an advert, which is a direct response advert, and that led me to become a copywriter. So I'm very self-taught, left school before I was 15, 14 years and 8 months. I'm a high school dropout, okay, which means anybody can actually learn to be a copywriter. It doesn't require a degree. And the critical factor that I went through when I started to learn the process is that it's not easy, but it is simple. There's a very big distinction. Simple is when you know all the processes, you can actually write compelling sales copy. The problem is it's a very long process to get all the angles, all the emotional triggers from A to Z. It's like, how do you eat an elephant? It's one bite at a time, but if you miss a bite, it's not going to work. Or who's got a grandma? Anyone got a grandma?
Yeah.
Remembers their mum baking cakes, okay? When your mum or your grandma baked a cake, if you left out one of the key ingredients, it's going to taste like crap, okay? Your sales copywriting process is the same. You leave out one key ingredient and your sales are going to falter. Hence, copywriting sucks when you do it the incorrect way or when you assume, and we all know what assume means, don't we? Yeah. Okay, that's the biggest problem out there. And whilst it's a small group, stand up if you write at least 10 headlines when you write any sales piece. Anyone going to stand up? One. How many do you write, Rhonda?
15 to 30.
Okay.
Probably not enough.
It's not enough. Okay. Between 5 and 10? Anyone game to stand up between 5 to 10? That includes like email copy as well.
I really make that many multiple ones, but I find myself revising the same one over and over and over. And when I'm done, is it better than when I started? I don't know. But
Well, the trick is,
I write out 10 different ones. I get started on a rule and I'll say, well, that doesn't sound right, and I'll change it at work. You know, so I don't have the record of like my 10.
okay, well here's the kicker. If you're actually writing a sales letter, you should do at least 150. Okay, and the reason is because by the time you've gone through your process and written 150 to maybe 200, you're going to get cracker headlines that are going to work. And most of you should know that, you know, most of your sales are won or lost in your headline. Whether it's an email copy, getting the subject line read, a pay-per-click ad, offline material, or your online sales letter. So your headline's very critical. I mean, if people just spend enough time actually writing and crafting great headlines and then actually testing and measuring, your sales would go up. To give you an example, I was hired by some clients in Tampa end of February, and they send out 30,000 postcards a week for their travel club. I changed the headline. Their sales went from 20,000 to 76,400 in 1 week by just giving it a compelling headline. And they stayed around that figure. That's the power of a headline and understanding who you're actually selling to. One of the biggest processes where people get things wrong in the whole sales component, and I'll go through the actual anatomy of a sales letter today, is that if they go to do anything, they start to write the headlines first, and that's actually not the correct process. You've got to know who you're actually selling to, okay? You've got to be able to profile your clients, in other words, understand who actually gives you the money that you're seeking. And, you know, a lot of the times, again, we assume we know our market, and my client's case in Tampa, they were targeting people from 35 to 75 years of age. But I went through the last 100 sales, and 67% of the business was between 45 to 55. Okay, so you don't want to target the rest. Some clients in Scotland, several years ago, they do Tai Chi lessons, and they sent me the 2-page flyer to critique. I asked John 4 simple questions, and I said, look, what are your customers, male or female? And he said, female. I said, okay, what percentage do you know? Have a guess. And he said, 80%. I said, are you sure it's 80%? I said, I want you to find out, but for now, let's stick at 80%. 2 questions, I know that 80% of his paying customers are women. Then I gave him some age brackets. Do you know roughly what age bracket? It was between 35 to 45, 45, 55, 55, 65. And the answer was 45 to 65. So 3 questions we know who the majority of his clients were. And then I said, what's the number 1 reason they're there for? He said, oh, that's easy. It was so easy, but it's up here and he hadn't done a brain dump down on paper. That was to solve stress. So 4 questions would actually profiled who his paying customers were. Now, none of that was in their marketing, not one single word. They were calling out to anybody and everybody. But when you write a headline, attention women aged between 45 to 55, who want to solve stress, How much more business do you think you're going to get? That's called profiling. The FBI, what do they do when they try and find some wacko child predator, some rapist, some killer? They profile. You need to profile yourself, okay? And there are certain questions, and I'll give you the 12 questions. And by the way, I mean, you can take notes, but I can actually give you the full copy of my PowerPoint presentation, which has got a list down there for you anyway. But you need to understand who you're really selling to and not assume who you're selling to, because when you actually go to the bother of finding out, you'll stop leaving money on the table. Does that make sense? So, I mean, just with what I've said there, can you imagine who you, when your own business, who you think you're selling to? If you're asked a few simple questions, would you really find out he's giving you money? And more importantly, he's not, so you're not wasting time. So, I want to sort of go back from caveman. I mean, when caveman first grunted and dragged his woman off for wild, passionate lovemaking and sex, that was really where words first came from. Ever since then, words have actually evolved. They've started wars, they've killed people, made people fall in love, get married, get divorced, you name it. Your words are very powerful. So your words in your personal life and in your business life, the written and verbal, they're going to determine what happens in your life, even at this event here. The way you speak to somebody or respond to them with your words is going to make or break a relationship or build rapport, etc. So just think of that. It's like if you went to a party and I said, Lisa, what do you do? And you said, hey, I'm a bus driver. And then I asked Bob the same question. I said, Bob, what do you do? He said, I safely transported 5 million people over the toughest roads in America last year without an accident.
Wow.
He's still a bus driver,
Right.
okay? But he's told me the benefit of what his occupational position does, not, I'm a copywriter. So what? Who bloody cares? Okay, so just think of that. The first impression you give people and they say, what do you do? Don't just say your position. Think of the benefit that they get from doing business with you, which makes them go, wow, I want to know what you're doing or what you're about. So on your business card, the same thing. If you look at your business cards, I bet they've all got similar type things. They just state your title. That's not going to get people excited. It's got to be a benefit. Everything you do has got to be a benefit, okay? So, I mean, most people have seen, that know me, see me wear these silly 3D glasses,
I recognize you.
okay? All over my Facebook, and there's a reason for that, okay? It's all part of my 3D word magic, because most of us, with our copy, do this. It's all one-dimensional. Okay, some people get a little bit more adventurous and do two-dimensional. But what you want your words to do is to just bang, jump out off your page or off your website and smack your prospects between the eyes. Okay, you've got to stand out. Now, you can all see this? Okay, you can see the red words? Looks fairly boring, doesn't it? All right, now you can start and pass this around. You got to wait. Got to put these special ones on.
Oh.
Put those special ones on, okay? And have a look at the red.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's very cool.
Okay? They're chromograph ones, make anything in red jump off the page, and that's what you want your copy to do. Okay? So pretty cool, isn't it? Sorry? Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look at doing that for offline marketing campaigns where I actually spot read the highlight parts of the sales letter, send out a pair of 3D glasses with it. It's going to increase response, but it just shows you how much more powerful that is. Without the glasses, it's just there. It's one of these. With the glasses, it jumps off, and that's what you want your copy to do, okay? So, a lot of the times it's all storytelling, okay? We tell stories ever since, we became conceptualized inside our mother's stomachs. They've been telling us stories, and when you're born, you get told stories, and when you go to school, you get told stories. Even now, be in the bar telling stories. The whole world's about stories. We've got a storyteller here. Stories sell. Yannick's up on stage. Storytelling, drawing, and, drawing nipples and things like that, but and see, that for me is going to be a story. I'll create an email article about that, about Yannick and his doodling on stage.
I think the whole room got it before him.
Oh yeah, he didn't realise, yeah. I saw it straight away, okay? So it's all about telling stories. And, you know, I was in Toronto last year laying on the couch on a lazy Sunday afternoon in my boxes after a hard night the night before in a bar. And I was watching that show called DEA, the Drug Enforcement Agency. You're familiar with it? And it's basically drug enforcement guys trying to catch the druggies, arrest them. But what they were doing is actually direct marketing techniques. So applying takeaway selling to drug dealers. Let's say they caught Lisa here, okay, and basically caught her with enough crack to put her inside for 25 to life, and you're nervous and all that sort of stuff. They give you a very short time frame to roll over on who you got yours from. I say, Lisa, if you tell me and line up a meeting with who you buy your drugs from, we'll make this pretty much go away, reduce your sentence, and they would roll. So you rolled over and you give me Bob's name. And we do the same to Bob. I saw this 3 times in one episode where they just went up the line getting bigger drug dealers applying direct marketing or takeaway selling. In other words, you've got a limited time frame, you've got 10 minutes set aside, bang. And you know, if it's good enough for police officers to do it, it's good enough for you. But what I did then was I made an article out of it, okay? I saw the article, saw the TV show, made a blog article about it, put it on my blog, emailed my database, and just off one client alone from I got off Reddit, who saw the article on one of the social media sites, I put a $3,000 job out of it and sold 5 or 6 of my copywriting packages. So in other words, take things in everyday life and apply them to your storytelling. To something about Obama or something that happens anywhere. Think of how you can take that instant story or that news piece, get some creative writing about it, and also massage it into what you're doing, because we all love stories. So what I want to start off really now is called the anatomy of your sales letter. Okay, there's a process that you go through, and I get asked all the time, and I'm sure you've probably heard it, you know, long copy versus short copy. Is long copy too boring? Well, my answer is this: short copy can be boring as well. You can have a 1-page piece of sales copy or an email that's very, very boring. You can have a 58-page sales letter which is boring as well. Okay, so you've really got to get if it's a 1-page letter, it's got to be tight. If it's a 58-page sales letter, it's got to be tight as well. There's a whole process. So long copy, though, generally outpulls short copy. And even these days with adding video and Web 2.0, you know, it's very rare, unless you're like the Frank Kerns of the world, that you can just do a video and get sales. But even that's not true. His whole build-up process, if you know Frank's model, is emails, and it's all words, and then he does the video. It's still email, 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 sequential, telling the whole story, and the build-up, and he's got a hungry herd. And I hear people all the time say that I can just do a video like Frank Kern and get sales. No, you can't. Okay, you've got to go through the whole process. You know, even Frank's process is he knows what he's doing, and he applies all the process to it. So, you know, long copy versus short, no, it's very simple. You just say whatever you need to say to get the message across to your market and get a sale or get them to take a response, whatever your next angle is, okay? Not all sales copy is about selling. I mean, give you an example. I wrote a 2-page letter for some clients in Australia a couple of years ago who were trying to raise $4 million to launch on the Australian Stock Exchange. Now, they had previously failed. They'd done newspaper, TV, all types of typical traditional media, emailed their own database and couldn't get a cracker out of it, couldn't get a dollar. I wrote a 2-page sales letter and oversubscribed the $4 million because the 2-page sales letter was a lead generation tool. It wasn't designed to sell. It was designed to get the investors to pick up the phone, make an appointment with my clients, and they would crunch them. Okay, so you've got to understand the angle and what your true purpose of your copy is. If I'm writing a lead generation advert in the newspaper, which is simply a headline with a response mechanism, okay, headline there and a call to action, you know, call me now. Okay, it's a lead generation. I'm not trying to sell from that. I'm trying to get someone to pick up the phone and call me. With my clients with their postcard, again, you know, it's designed to pick up the phone, book them into a tour. It's not designed to sell off the postcard. So many people get that wrong, though. They don't really know what their correct angle is, and they wonder why they're leaving money on the table. You know, Winston Churchill said this: short words are best, and the old words, when short, are best of all. Use simple words. Don't use long words which confuse people. The average literacy age of people generally across the world and in the US is of a 12-year-old. So if a 12-year-old can't read your sales copy and actually comprehend what you're saying, go back to the drawing board. You really will confuse people. Because can you imagine though, like if you use big words like a lawyer would normally use and you can't really read well yourself and you read it and you go, I don't understand that, you may feel dumb, okay? If the person's lost their confidence, they're not going to buy. They're not going to read any further. So you want to make it very simple and very easy for people to understand and make your words simple as well. Now, I said before about profiling, okay? There are 11 critical questions, okay? I normally got it on the PowerPoint, so I may have to read some of these out from here, okay? Number one, you want to know what gives your customer indigestion at lunch, okay? And diarrhea in the morning, okay? You want to know that. You want to know what their problem is, what gives them that pain. Unless you do, how can you solve their problem? We're all problem solvers, okay? The other one, number two, what gives them insomnia at night and causes them to lay awake staring at the ceiling? People do that. So you look at all these factors and wonder what's causing people to stay awake, get heartburn, get the runs in the morning, etc. Unless you actually know how to ask these questions and do your market research, you really can't maximise your sales. And again, too many people skimp on that. I've had instances where someone's got me to rewrite the ebook sales letter, and there's all these nuggets of gold sitting in the contents of the book. They've never bothered to get off their backside and actually read the book, if they've got it outsourced, or go back and extract the nuggets, or knowing how to extract the nugget points to turn them into benefits to sell their products. Every single time I've rewritten somebody's ebook sales letter, okay, I've always been able to double the sale price, by simply giving it better copy and giving more meat and giving people a reason to justify why it's gone from $47 to $97. Okay, that's the power of it. And, it shouldn't amaze me, but it does. Okay, you're taking the same product, you're simply giving it a better price because you've gone through the process and extracted and actually better profiled who your customer is. Question number three, or profiling question number, what are they afraid of or fear the most in your own market niche? You need to be able to answer that. And again, you'll get access to all this. But unless you ask the question, you can't correctly profile your customers. Because once you, literally target who's giving you money, you just want to find more of those people. You don't want to find the person next to you who's not interested in your product or service. It's like saying everybody in the world that's in business online needs a copywriter. That's bull, because they won't do it. I don't target everybody. I'm specific who I try and chase. It's hard for me to go and chase like a Fortune 500 company. They've all got marketing departments. So you've got to understand who your market is and who's giving you money in the past. Like I've targeted chiropractors successfully in the past. And dentists, I know they've got money, I know they like direct mail, and they're prepared to apply. So understand who you're selling to. Number four, what makes them angry? What makes your customers angry? And who are they angry at? What pees them off? Again, you need to find this process out. You might think it's 11 or 12 questions, but these are very critical. So once I actually, in my own process, once I know who I'm selling to, I then create my offer. I know what the offer is going to be before I even start on headlines. If you don't actually profile your customers first, you aren't going to get all the sales. You'll leave money on the table. Absolutely guaranteed, no questions about that one. Number five, what three things cause them the most frustration each day? These questions may be fairly similar, but you're actually extracting out of your customer's brain. You're really like peeling open their head and going inside and working out what their problem is. Again, we are problem solvers. The product or service you sell is to solve someone's problem. Okay, number six, are there any trends which are occurring or likely to occur in their business or their lives? Like at the moment with the economic state, there's trends there. So, people losing houses, losing jobs, money's tight. These are trends that you want to try and address and help solve the problem. Number seven, okay, do they secretly desire certain things more than others? Maybe some of these questions aren't exactly relevant for your niche, but most of them should be. Number eight, is there anything about the way they make decisions? In other words, buying patterns, habits, all these, what they do is set off emotional triggers. We all buy an emotion, okay? When the president gets out of bed in the morning, he's going to get in the shower naked. He's not going to get in there in his suit, okay? We all shower the same way, unless you're some weirdo. It's only when you put your outfit on, or your uniform, or he puts his suit on that we take on our position. So everything we do is based on an emotional decision, okay? It's a buying emotional decision. So you've got to understand that factor as well. And number 9, do they speak their own language? I mean, architects will speak a certain way, lawyers speak a certain way, rappers speak a certain way, surfers speak a certain way. So if you're targeting those niche markets, you want to speak the way they speak so they understand you. If I'm targeting Australians, I can put a lot of Australian slang in there. And they really get it. Americans, sometimes they don't quite get it, But I still use it, though, for my list, So if you know a language exists in your market, speak the way they speak. Because in other words, it's speaking directly from me to you, me to you, me to you, okay, and vice versa. And, you want to find out, for number 10, who else is selling a similar product, and do your market research. You want to find out what they're doing, and if they do, let's say you find that 3 competing websites, get on their mailing list. If they offer some sort of free report, get the information. Look at the Yellow Pages ads, if they've got Yellow Pages ads, newspaper ads. Find out what they're doing and see what they're doing right, and more importantly, see what they're doing wrong, so you can monopolise on that particular industry. And the last one, who else has tried selling them something similar, and then if so, why did they fail? You're familiar with Aussie shampoo? Put some Rue in your do, which is just ridiculous. Put some Rue in your do. I used to be able to put some Rue in my do. But Procter & Gamble bought that company out. That company went bust in Australia in the early 90s. Couldn't sell. Bring it to America, put a stupid kangaroo on the front of it and call it Aussie shampoo, and away you go. It's a marketing miracle. Same as the cheap bottles of wine, Yellowtail and all those. You go into any liquor store in the US, see all these Australian wines, which we wouldn't give away in Australia, to be honest. Okay, and Foster's. Foster's are like making love in a canoe. I'm not going to go to the end of that one, but you get the theory. We don't drink that stuff. From a marketing perspective, it's brilliant. So you really got to understand what your market is. Okay, that all makes sense? Now, so once you understand how to profile your customer, you've got to work out what your offer is. When I'm either doing copy for clients or I've looked at their sales copy, most of the time, in all fairness, they really don't know what their offer is. Okay, let's say even a simple ebook. They go, what's an ebook? Okay, what are your bonuses going to be? How can you add value to justify a higher price? So you've really got to know what that offer is. And, for some clients, if they're actually paying me to do the whole offer as well, I sat down for one client in Australia for literally on and off for about 8 days, just crafting what the actual offer was going to be for a three-tier membership package. Okay, asking questions, putting it together, looking what was going to go in package A, B, C, various price points, before I could even then start to write headlines. Because if I know exactly what my offer is going to be, I know who I'm profiling, who my ideal customer is, the ones giving me money or giving my clients money, in your case giving you money, how much easier do you think it's going to be to write your headlines? It's going to be a lot easier, okay? So you've got to go through that process in the beginning, because if you don't, you're only fooling yourself and you're ripping yourself off, and you're ripping your target market off, okay? So you have to know what your offer is. And there, various things that you can do, okay? You can guarantee your customer satisfaction in your offer. Okay, we all know about guarantees. We'll cover that maybe later or tomorrow. You can offer your discounts, your limitations. You've seen all the takeaway sales, first 47 people, first 97 people who order by X date. You've got to consider all those factors when you're working out your offer. Give free samples. Yannick's given free stuff away. That builds rapport. Okay, free's been around for a long time. There are a lot of things that you can do when you're working out that offer. Be exclusive. Limit the whole practice of it. What have we got here? Some of these are around the wrong way. Okay. As part of your offer, you've all heard of What's in it for me, have you? Everybody's favourite radio station. Anyone not heard of that? Okay. Really, well, that's true, but you want to go what's in it for you. Okay. If you're my customer, you're all my potential customers, I've got to flip it around. I've got to say, what's in it for you, what's in it for you, what's in it for you, what's in it for you. I've got to get inside your head and look at things from your eyes and find out the flip side, what's going to be in it for you, okay? Because once you do that again, you're going to write better copy and you're going to increase your sales, because you want your whole sales copy process to be this. When the ideal prospect is reading your sales copy, you want them to feel as though you really understand them and they understand you. They go, wow, Trevor actually knows what I'm about. Lisa knows what I'm about. Andrea knows what I'm about. Okay? You've got to hit the emotional triggers, because when they're reading something, they have that wow factor. This person actually is inside my head. What do you think that's going to do to your copy? It's going to increase the rapport in that sales piece. If they've never met you, they may buy online. Just read your website copy. It's got to do it. And you do that with the stories and putting all the key components together. But I can't stress enough emotional triggers and write from your heart. We can do this exercise now before the next course comes out. I want you to grab your notepad and grab a biro or pen to write with. You got any paper? Wait for him to come back. Okay.
See, it's a copywriting course. You have to be thinking ahead. Writing.
Yeah, writing. You didn't think it was, you're going to sit there and eat all day, did you?
I was focusing more on the lunch part.
Okay. Many people say they get writer's block and not sure how to get through it. Okay. Now, this will get you through writer's block, and if you follow this every single time, you should never have writer's block again. What I want you to do is think of the person you love most in your life. It could be anybody, whoever that person is. Okay, and I've had one person in the past that was his deceased grandmother. Think of that person, right? And we're going to give you 5 minutes to write. Now here's the kicker. You're not allowed to take your pen off the paper. Every time you do, you owe me $10. Is that fair? Now, in Vancouver, they had to eat Vegemite, and some people did have to eat Vegemite, okay? So, you won't pay me, but maybe we donate it to charity, but that's the kicker. You do not take your pen off the paper, because what happens, we try and edit as we go. We try and make it perfect. Oh, that's not right, fix that sentence up. No, you want to write from here. If you really love somebody, you should be able to write for 5 minutes flat, not even think about it. You don't try and correct it. Don't worry if that word doesn't make sense, the sentence doesn't make sense. Just write for 5 minutes, because you edit later. Okay? Time starts now. And this was the exercise where a man stood up and proposed to his girlfriend in Dallas when I was there, in front of about 100 people. Yeah. See, it's not just Tony Robbins that can get that sort of result. And they will call for a volunteer or two as well. And you can stop. How did that feel?
Challenging.
Challenging?
Emotional.
Emotional? Anybody else? Any comments? Okay. Now, obviously, what I want I don't want your lunch to go cold, so when you finish that, I'll call a couple of people to volunteer. And what I want you to understand is this, it's very much an exercise, be written from your heart. And again, copy should be emotional. Now, what I would ask you to do, you don't have to do it, but is when you get time, finish that letter. Okay, really finish it off, then edit it, and then write it out on some nice paper, handwrite it, and give it to that person and see their response. Okay? But later I'll call for a couple of volunteers because it's always worthwhile to see, and don't be embarrassed. I said I've had grown men brought to tears and just choke up and can't read, and women, but again, it's to get the emotional side out of it and you get that message across. While you're reading, talk about lead generation advertising and also the importance of testing and measuring, okay, and at the same time, not assuming you understand what your market will actually respond to. Now, this isn't, these aren't my headlines, it's actually a Dr. G. Nelson, who's one of Dan Kennedy's chiropractor clients. He ran some lead generation adverts, and rather than be the typical chiropractor who targeted every facet, you know, I can fix all your bones, he went for a niche, migraine headaches. So he tested this advert here, which is A. Now these have all got a call to action, which means call me now, here's the number, I didn't put it on here. These all took up pretty much the same space. Here's the first one, free report. Do you make these mistakes when treating migraine headaches? Call me now on XYZ. He then tested the second one, free report. They all laughed when I called a chiropractor until my migraine headache went away. And the third one, free report. Who else wants migraine headache relief? Now, again, maybe it's probably not good for the camera, so I'll do it on here. Understand this one critical factor. If you're running a newspaper advert or anything like that, so it's a designated area, all you are doing is buying space. Okay? It costs you the same, if that's a newspaper advert, a yellow pages advert, a one-page ad in a magazine, or a half-page ad, it costs you the same whether it pulls 0 calls, 100 calls, 1,000 calls. So this is where your wording's got to be absolutely tight. Does that make sense to you? Okay, the amount of times I see people waste this, it's a criminal act. So we've got 3 very similar. I'll go through them again. I want you to tell me which one you thought out pulled. So number A, if you think this one's the best, raise your hand. Free report. Do you make these mistakes when treating migraine headaches? Anyone think that's the best one? No takers? Sorry?
Depends on the target market. He's targeting other chiropractors.
No, he's targeting people with a migraine headache. Sorry, not a good one? Okay, the next one. They all laughed when I called a chiropractor until my migraine headache went away. You think that's the best? Okay, so put your hand up again so I count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, you got a few people hanging up there thinking they got it right. And the last one, free report. Who else wants migraine headache relief? Got one taker for that one. Okay. Well, I can tell you crashed and burned. You got 0 calls. Nobody responded to that at all. Nobody. First one got 5. So if you look at it from a mathematical equation for running an advert the same and testing, you'd have to get this one to be a mathematical equation. That's got 5 times as many calls, or 500% increase in response for testing the same space. And this one, the winner, 17 times, or 1,700%. 17 times as many people responded to an ad, really, which is worded fairly in a fairly similar fashion. And here's the reason why. If you've got a headache, if I've got a headache, I don't want relief, I want the thing to go away. Gone, bang. That's why. You know, here's the key trigger here. Now he's only calling out to people with migraines. Okay, wants it to go away. Problem solved. Now what I can also tell you, he hadn't even written his free report back then. Hadn't even written it. He wanted to see exactly what they'd respond to, then creates the report around what the market says they're putting their hand up for, and then he gets his sales. Does that make sense to you? Okay, so you can, this is where your headlines come into effect, writing those 150 headlines.
So when he wrote these headlines, though, how did he test the headlines before he got the report? Did he just?
Put them in a newspaper. Newspaper ad, bang.
Okay.
That was it. Newspaper ad.
To make that report though, right?
Sorry?
Then you're kind of under the wire to get that.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he's a chiropractor, knows his stuff, but at the same time, what's the point of creating a report around this and nobody wants it? You know, my mentor is a guy called Ted Nicholas. You all know who Ted is at all? I mean, he's old school, done about $6.7 billion in sales with direct mail. And, you know, his biggest thing, if you're writing a book, do the same thing. Before you even start your book, test your title. See what your market's going to respond to. So that's why when you do your 150 odd headlines, you go through and you make minor changes, 1 word or 2 words and a few differences here and a few differences there. Incorporate parts of your offer into your headline until you come up with 5 or 6 that really stand out. And one is going to slam you between the eyes. Okay, and do all this by hand. Don't use your computer. I know most of you still will, but I'm telling you, don't use your computer. Okay, you do not get the same emotive and the compelling response from your brain to your hand onto your paper as you do by writing it out by hand. You can cheat, it's entirely up to you. I'm just telling you which way to do it. Okay, but if you don't do it, well then you will cost yourself sales. Okay. Okay, sometimes I don't do it if I'm banging out a short one, I'm doing a swipe file or something else, but most times for a big job, I'm doing that sucker by hand, okay? And then I'll put it into my computer, into my laptop, and then I'll do the editing process and fine-tuning from there. So, you know, we do it the old way, and the way that's still been working since, you know, 1923, 1930. And the interesting fact about that as well, I mean, if you all heard of Scientific Advertising by Claude Hopkins, Robert Collier, the Robert Collier letter book, which has come out in about 1930. I mean, they're classic books, but I mean, even in Collier's actual letter book, there are letters written from that era that are still relevant today. You simply substitute the product for yours, bang, that's a proven sales letter. Everyone heard of a damaged stock run letter? Okay, it's like saying Yannick could do it with his books. You go, you know, I just got these books back from the printer and you know, my wife or my child knocked coffee all over and spoiled 100 of them. It's a damaged stock. There's nothing wrong with them. You actually go and pour coffee on it yourself. But it gives you a reason and a justification as to why you're holding your sale. It's a damaged stock run letter, and you know that letter's been knocked off and modelled since about 1930. So, you know, the old stuff still works. If you think for 1 second, because of the technology age, or that's old and it won't work, you're absolutely wrong. Okay. Because people still, again, buy or make a decision based on emotion. You know, our brains are still our brains, whether you were born in 1930 or whether you're born in, you know, 1985. Okay? Now, some questions you want to ask yourself, okay, when you're doing the whole offer thing, and I'm just going to read these out to you. Does your product or service solve your customer's #1 problem? It should do. If it doesn't, how well do you think it's going to perform? It's not going to perform as good as what it should, correct? Unless you solve their #1 problem. Like in this case, nano niche, migraine sufferers, not just people with a headache, migraine sufferers, bang, wants it to go away. His report, obviously, if they get to him and go to his office, is going to solve the #1 problem. Does your product or service provide exceptional value? Do you under-promise, over-deliver? If you do it the other way, it's going to bite you on the butt. And are your bonuses genuine? Now, you've seen this, anyone in internet marketing, someone selling like a $57 or $47 ebook and there's $10,000 worth of bonuses or $40,000 worth of bonuses. What a load of crap. Okay? If you can't sell them, you can't give them away. Okay? If you can't give them away, you can't sell them either. They've got to be genuine. Okay? You know, I don't put too many bonuses in my stuff when I write the copy because they're either products I've genuinely sold before or I know could sell. What's the point of putting some useless bonus on there that no one's ever going to use? So you want to make sure your bonuses are real. Now, Jacqueline, you about your book with your fear book. With the sales copy I just had my protege do for a gentleman that's written a similar book to yours, or on that fear angle, we did 2 bonuses. His book's actually written as like a how-to manual, given the audios as a bonus, and a critique session, one-on-one with him for an hour. That's it. But rather than that book being $37, when we add in the audios and the one-on-one private stuff, it's now a $97 product. Just 2 good bonuses, bang, great copy, it'll sell at $97. Okay, so he was actually trying to sell it for $19.95, his ebook. So taking it from basically $20 to $100. We're simply putting a couple of good bonuses in there and some good copy. Another client, again, she was selling her ebook for $9.95. It's now $77. Okay, good copy, good bonuses justifies why you're doing it. Okay. What you want to also look at as well is, do you have a bonus which is so bloody good, it could be the product itself. In other words, it's a psychology in your sales process, but is that bonus so good people will buy it just because of that? It's possible. I've done it a few times. Did it for a client selling a digital photography ebook. She had an advanced book. I made that the bonus. And she rings me up and she goes, why is that the bonus? Because that's actually your product. That's the reason why people are going to go from $37 now to $97. Okay? So can your bonus literally be the product? In the past, I've offered in Australia when I was doing direct mail, as well as the normal bonuses, I'd do an unannounced bonus in the PS, which was 14 nights accommodation for 2 people, valued at $1,500, valid for a year. The amount of times people they wanted the stuff, but they wanted to make sure they got that bonus and they got in on the number. I had a dentist ring me up one day and he'd ordered my report, been away on vacation, come back and the offer had expired. Well, it never expires, of course. And all his concern was, would I give him 48 hours to make a decision and would he still qualify for the holiday? Of course. You know, it cost me $38 and it's a $1,000 sale. Yeah, I'm going to give him a holiday. Okay, but the bonus is good, it's genuine, it's got some value. So you want to look at your own product or service and think, can you do the same? And then, can you have a yes or a yes offer? Do you know what that means? You've seen many deals where there's like the gold, silver gold, or gold and platinum. Okay, two different types of packages or 3 different types of packages. In other words, the person reading your sales letter or your marketing material is going to say yes. It's just a matter of which one. Okay, and what you want to do is trigger your packages in such a way that probably 98% of people take your DIRA package. You know, if not, you've got a problem. Your copy's weak. And if you're offering A and B type packages, you want your B offer, in other words, you know, the highest offer to be no more than 50% of your low offer. So if you're selling something for like $300 as your low offer, half that's $150, so that'll be $450. So you'd make your B offer $447. And you load the bonuses up on that side, so it's unbelievable value. Okay, well, I can get this for $300, yes, but for an extra $147, I get all this.
Yeah.
That's a yes or a yes, and that's the way you trigger it. If you make that B offer more than that, you're dead in the water. Okay, so yeah, I've gone through that. And then, you know, the unannounced bonus, like I said, in the PS says the holiday. Can you leave something out that's right till the end that's just so valuable they go, yep, I've got to have it. Non-PSs, behind your headline, your PS is the second most important part of any part in your copy because people read that. They go to your headline, there's 3 types of readers, okay? The very small percentage will read every single word, okay? I do because that's part of my job, but most people don't. The anal or attentive type people read every single word. That's probably 2, 3, 4, 5% maybe. Most people go to the headline, if it's a website, scroll, PS, and they scroll back up and down. And your job in your copy is wherever they stop or scrolling to hook them back in. If you don't hook them back in, what's going to happen? They're going to get bored, they're going to leave your website, they're not going to buy. And then the third type just basically starts at the headline and scrolls. So that's why the PS is most important. If you do an email, have a PS. Any piece of material you do, include a PS. At least 1. I try and do at least 2 on an email copy, sometimes 3. An actual website copy or offline, I've done as many as 7. And never ever reveal your price in your PS. Do you know why? That's right. They'll read it straight away, and if they really don't know what you're about and your sales copy they haven't gone through your process, no, it's too dear, it doesn't justify it, bang, they're gone. How long do you think when someone comes, have you all got a website here? Everyone online got a website? How long do you think you've got when a prospect comes to your website before they go, nah, nada, I'm out of here?
3 seconds? 2.5 seconds.
Hear any different?
I think like a third of a second you see it. There you go.
Yeah, a Canadian university did a study back in 2006, and you have 1/20th of a second, 50 milliseconds, bang. That's not even that long. They did the study, flashed up all these websites and gave them, you know, short time, bang, 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 yes or no, went back, repeated the study, slowed it down, and did it in the exact same order, but slowed it down, and the results were identical. You've got a nanosecond. So you've got all these fancy header graphics and all that sort of crap that isn't, you know, compelling. You want to think about testing with and without a header graphic and see what your results are. You know, if you've got a header graphic, make sure there's a benefit in there. But you've got, you haven't got 3 seconds. With offline mail, you've got 10 seconds on average from flap to trash. 10 seconds. Now, is anyone here doing any offline marketing at all, or you're all online? Okay. Sorry?
99% online.
You've got a big marketing bucket out there. If you're doing just online, you're ripping yourself off. Okay, yes, offline is more expensive, and it takes longer, but you get higher conversions as well. And you don't need to run a big advert. You can run a small lead generation advert. I used to run ads this size in Australia that were literally that size. 5 centimetres or 2 inches by 1 column, with a headline and a call to action for a free report. And I've run bigger ads. Once a month I'd run an advert about this size at about $4,500. And all I would do there would be a headline, my beautiful mugshot there, and testimonials, call to action. Okay, hook them into the headline, the proof with all the testimonials, call to action, get the free report, sales letter would do its job. On these ones here, I would go in 3 papers after I'd done my testing. I would get an average of five good leads and convert 3. Now it was costing me $50, and I'd, 5 leads, I was selling a $1,000 package. So basically $3,000 for 50 is not a bad return on investment. So it doesn't have to be expensive. When you understand how to write a lead generation advert, just run a headline, put it in the right section of your paper, get a response. It doesn't have to be a major expense. Okay, so you should be looking at offline marketing strategies, postcards and things like that. You know, my clients in Florida, they've just been doing postcards, which is like been good. Now we're getting them online, doing pay-per-click, and going to start doing offline marketing and marketing to their own database. Offline is very powerful. You can get very high conversions, 5, 10, 15, 20, 24% conversions with offline stuff, and that's a significant difference in online marketing. So, you want to be doing that, even if at the moment it's not quite something that's up your alley, really consider it. So, okay, everyone's pretty much finished their food, so to speak. So, we've got any volunteers to read out their letter? Sure. We should get the microphones, you think?
Not in here. Just have her stand next to you.
Okay.
Okay, well, I can speak loud enough. My letter is to my niece, Julia, who is 6 years old and lives in Mexico. Dear Julia, I love you because you are an inspiration, a smile. I love you for your courage to try new things, even if I can see in your face that you're scared. I love you for the tenacity you bring to learn new things, like the cartwheel we practice for hours. I love you because you look like a fairy in your ballet outfit. But more than anything else, I love you for the compassion in your spirit, for your sense of justice and equality for all, for never running faster than the slowest kid in a race, because you don't want them to be sad for having lost. I love your love for flowers, and when you sit down to meditate with a flower on your head, despite the fact that no one has ever asked you to or taught you how to. I love the way you look after your little brother, but more than anything else, of course, I have to love you for how you love everything I do. The photos, the fashion, New York. Julia, you are only 6, and already you are this person who inspires every person you meet. who makes people stop on Times Square because of your smile.
It's beautiful. Beautiful. Well done. Thank you. I mean, and so, she may be a little bit young to understand that now, but do that in years to come. Yeah. When we were in Vancouver, where I'm at Cannes, this guy stood up and he wrote it to his three-year-old daughter, and then he went and finished it, and it's basically framed for when she's older. You know, that's beautiful. And I mean, it brought tears to you, which is nothing to be embarrassed about. You know, it's an emotion. So we've got any other volunteers? Come on. You can't take a photograph of yourself though, but it's a bit hard. Uh-huh.
I'm going to be reading about her anyway.
Well, we thought that. He's scoring brownie points, writing about his wife. Oh my God.
Yeah. You're walking down a street, and a gorgeous, sleek redhead with curly locks comes walking towards you. She is perfect in every way, and time seems to slow as you take her in. She's something you breathe, a dream, a wish. People who know her say it's their privilege. She's a friend to everyone, a mother, a wife, a healer to the terminally ill, an entrepreneur in Jimmy Choo and Prada. This woman is my wife, the love of my life, and is the most beautiful woman I know. She's an amazing, prodigious talent, and when I consider her, I immediately smile, a knowing, deep smile that comes from a knowing that when I met her, I met my soulmate.
Beautiful. Well done. See, well on both the tears. See, that's the power of doing it. Any other volunteers? Andrea? No? Bob? See, we're amongst friends. We can shed it to you.
It's all good, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to read anything except with these on though.
Getting that way myself.
Donna is an amazing one who shares her passion and joys with me. She is committed to our relationship, and she supports me in everything that we do. She's funny, but not too funny. She also amazes me with her touch and her love for animals. She works hard, plays hard, and relaxes hard. Donna's love and support mean the world to me. Soulmates, we must be. How else could I explain the wonderful connection that we share? A connection that grows stronger every day of our lives. I admire her for her courage and love her for her, and that's where we ran out of time, but I'll just say everything.
And I'm Bob. So, now, did you all find that powerful and the people's response powerful? Ken,
I didn't do it, it's not my fault.
you didn't do it, no. What I was going to say, if we can spare 5 minutes either later today or tomorrow, I think if we can get the whole group to do that, just get up there and do it. So don't tell them that what you've done, and I think it'll really, I mean, it always gets a good response, so if we get time, we'll bang that in. So, you know, like tomorrow I'm going to spend a lot of time on headlines tomorrow, going through the rules and the different types of headlines and how to write a hook, okay, because you need to be able to hook your prospects in. But what I want, I can get through these today. Basically, there are what I consider 8 bad words that you should never use in your sales copy. Now, again, part of your editing process will actually eliminate these words, and this is where I see the biggest flaws in people's copy. They don't edit. Or if they edit once, they only edit once. You should edit at least twice. And they use these bad words because these bad words are fluff words or actually cause a negativity in the copy. And once you do that, this is where your boring copy comes into play, by having these BS words in there that you don't need. So we're going to go through them. You shouldn't use them anywhere. Not on your blog, not on your email copy, nowhere. And the first one is learn. Learn. I mean, what do you want to learn? It reminds me of being back at school. And I was always in trouble at school. You want to discover. Okay, so you change learn to discover. These are one word. So when I say, you can increase your sales by the change of one word or, one small change, these are the types of things that make a difference. They make your copy tighter. They make your response better. So nobody wants to learn. It reminds you of being back at school. I left school in 1979 and I ain't going back for anybody. Okay, so learn to discover. Your second one, tell. Now, we've got men in here and we've got wives. If you tell your wife something, Bob, is she going to really respond to that?
I prefer asking.
Yeah, asking. See, he's passive. No, you should reveal.
Okay.
You can't tell somebody. Nobody likes to be told. Sometimes they do need to be told, but you want to reveal. So not tell, reveal. Okay? But mind you, I did tell my second wife that we were getting divorced, so that was probably a good thing to do. But, who uses the word but in their copy? No, I can't. Very, very rarely, okay? The problem is, if you're trying to use it strategically, right? The word but's a negative. So everything you said before, you're trying to build up a point in your sales copy and you go, but. At that moment, negatives coming bang. You can lose your prospect.
So you can say.
Use however.
You can say you can try to find a better course anywhere else, but you soon find out.
You're still using the word but.
Right, which means you can't. So
No,
I
you, no.
love you, but
Okay.
it means I don't love you.
From
right?
testing, you can do that, I'm telling you. If you get rid of but and put however, okay, you don't get the negative. However, you can still find this course here. You want to get but out of your sales copy. Okay, but is a negative. Any way you say it and put it, it's a negative and can cost you sales. So however is the word. However, bang. And use three pause dots. You know what the pause dots are? These little things. Bang, bang, bang. So that's it.
I like to see there's only one button we're sitting on it.
Exactly. That's a good one. Okay. You know, sometimes you might not even use however. You've got this build-up statement and you want to change the pace of your copy, you put something else, just put your three pause dots and then go on to the next part. But you want to eliminate but out of your copy. And buy. Now, we're all selling something, aren't we?
Buy?
Yeah, buy. B-U-Y. Everyone knows that you're trying to sell them something, but and no, I'm not on crack, okay? You don't want to use the word buy. Why do you think that is? Yeah, well, people don't want to be sold to, even though they are being sold to, okay? So there's three words you can use. Claim, invest, and reserve. Now, when you booked the hotel here, did you do it to buy it? No, you made a reservation. If you want to go to a restaurant, you know you're buying your food, but you make a reservation. Now, there are, you know, in some cases of a hotel, if you're going to rent a room by the hour, you may be buying the time, okay? So that's the exception to the rule, but generally it's reserve, claim, or invest.
Is it all right to ask a question?
Sure.
I've seen a couple of people say download your da-da-da, which when it's purchased, they have a free thing. So if you were to go to a page, you know, go download the whatever now. What is your take on that?
Well, go here and claim. You could put claim in there. Yeah, reserve that reserve.
I'd rather use this. Okay.
Yeah, I mean you want to try and get that out of there as often as you can. It's like order. I mean, people know they've got to order. But yeah, that's the three: claim, reserve, and invest.
There's no benefit in downloading something. Downloading is a waste of time, you know, you have to wait for it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no
Click here and claim the whatever it is now. You know, bang. But these are small, subtle changes. But you know, I see people. These words are committed every other paragraph. Sometimes you get 3 or 4 words in one paragraph, and they wonder why their copy is boring and wonder why they're losing sales. Now, next one is if. Yeah.
I do email readings
Uh-huh.
to people. What would I use to order or buy would be equal to that?
Email readings.
Yeah, your email second reading, word reading. So what would the word be that you would recommend for that?
Well, what are you saying to them? I don't quite understand.
They ask me questions and I give them a reading. Investment, you think?
Well, okay, what are they going to get out from you reading your email?
I do psychic email.
Oh, you use psychic email readings.
Right. You do.
You just, I mean, it could be reveal, could be the secrets. There's a couple other words which will cover, which will give you that answer. But yeah, you still don't. People know they're being sold to. But you still want to be it blatantly.
Right.
And the word if. There are times when you can still use if, very selectively. When you change if to when, okay. So Yannick Silver goes, if I could get on a UFO, and see an alien if he said when. No, it's when. Hey, Bob, when you go to the bar, can you buy me a beer? Not if you go to the bar. You know, small, subtle words. If to when, again, it makes your copy more powerful, and, you know, it just changes the psychology. So I've seen many say a lot of start, you know, if you have ever wanted to. So you've got someone hooked into your headline, your subhead, go to your salutation, and they go, if. Well, no, you're actually reading my copy. It should be when you want this biggest benefit. Okay, bang. It's all that hooking. You're fishing. And not a salutation before I get on the next word. This one still blows me away, but it's very powerful. This is still the best salutation you can use. Dear friend. And sometimes, depending on your niche, you can add something to it. If you're like targeting like people for taxation, dear friend and beleaguered taxpayer, right? But dear friend is still the most time-proven, and it goes back to Ted, who's been doing this stuff for 40 years and testing, and got, you know, almost $7 billion in proven sales on the board. So I think he knows what he's doing. Now, this is going to be case in point. Quite a few years ago, somebody had a sales letter, great headline, great subheads. The salutation was Dear Bride. And what they were selling was a book on how to have a wedding on a shoestring budget. So do you think that salutation would be correct? You're targeting brides, cheap wedding, Dear Bride. Who says yes? Yeah. It was the tight-ass husbands-to-be that were checking. When they changed that to that, well, if it was my copy, I would have actually.
No, you would have.
I would have. Their sales, their response doubled.
What did you say? Oh,
Dear friend.
just your friend.
Yeah, that's it. Because what happened? Guys were getting there, reading the copy and go, Dear bride, that's not for me. Bang, I'm out of here. Okay, subtle changes. One word.
She didn't have the paycheck, she wasn't writing the check for it, so she wasn't taking action on it.
Yeah, and this goes back to knowing who your target market is and who your profiling is. Right.
I have a question. In regard to email
Uh-huh.
and the autoresponders, you can put in a token that says like the recipient's first name. Should we use this instead of that?
I use your first name in your autoresponders, yes.
Use that.
Definitely use that. But this is anything else that we don't know their name, yeah. It's
Typically, isn't it, the more specific that you are, if it is your target market. I mean, the problem here is that isn't your target, the bride isn't your target market. But the more specific that you can be about your target market and the more personal you can be, then, so if you can individualize it down to the day, month, and hour,
and then you do it.
then you do it.
You know, I mean, I tweaked a sales letter for one of my clients who's got a book on divorce. And so it was Dear friend and battle-scarred ex-wife. You know, I mean, that's the market. Yeah, I am battle-scarred. Because the whole thing was, her angle in her book was about how her husband tried to rip her off. And she fought, and, you know, it was the whole, so she was going after women who had been through divorce or going through divorce. So you still want the dear friend in there, and then bang it from there. So the next word after if to when is things. Things, yeah, things. Now, you know, things in the Addams family, and they should stay there, you know. Didn't know what to bloody call him. Okay? Nobody wants things. They want tips. They want tricks. Okay?
Just to give you the 5-minute warning.
Yeah.
Because you want to be on stage.
I'll be on the
then
panel.
too.
Yeah.
And
I'll just finish these eight and we're done.
they may want to take a bathroom break or something real quick. So
Okay.
stretch breaks.
We'll be done in 2. Okay. So yeah, tips, tricks, and techniques. Not things. Make sense? Now, I didn't invent this stuff, by the way. And then you got stuff. I say stuff all the time. You know, I want to buy my stuff. Well, I can say something about stuff, but you know. No. Secrets and insider secrets. No. Secrets and insider secrets. No. Okay. Psst, want to know stuff? No. If I said, psst, want to know a secret? Everybody wants to know a secret or insider secrets. You know, people want to know what a secret is. They can't help but know. So use what's known to work. Goodies, yeah, but if someone's got a secret, or if it's an insider secret, you want to know about it. And if you know stuff and knowledge that people don't, it's a secret. If they don't know, it's actually a secret. So these small words are going to make the difference. And the last one, and this is the one that really gets up my nose, because I see this, people use this in sentence upon sentence upon sentence, and the word is that. T-H-A-T, biggest fluff word known to man. Most of the time, probably 95% of the time, you don't even need the word that. You can simply pause, break it, leave the word out and go ... And many times it's that the. What the is that the? I mean, seriously, that the boom. Eliminate that crap out of your sales copy, okay, and it becomes tighter. So I'm not even giving you the toe cracker version, I'm giving you an R-rated version today, but I'm just holding back a little bit. Okay? But I mean, when you go through your sales copy and go back and look at the stuff that you use, that you write now, and eliminate this stuff out of it, okay, eliminate the bad words, and change it, you're going to get better copy. So that's really, I mean, there's a rare occasion that you would use that. But what you substitute that with is which. You change that to which. There are some times when that, depending on the context of your sentence, it won't work, or you can use this. But most of the time, I can substitute that to which. It's more powerful, and it doesn't weaken the copy. And, you know, that's really what you've got to... There are 8 bad words, and just putting those things into your copy is going to make a difference. So I know we've got to wrap it up. Tomorrow's a lot on headlines, you know, which is where 90% of your dollars are anyway, won or lost, with or without a headline or a subject line. So hopefully you've got a bit out of today.
Thank you.
You can go bathroom break, and we'll be back tomorrow. Thank you.